welcome to the Red Panda Files. Hello, Matthew Costello.
Hey, hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
So, I have your episode set as more than a fighter, but you're also more than that. And I want to get to how did little Maddie grow up? Where did little
Yeah,
Maddie start?
for sure, for sure. So I am from Houston, Texas, born and raised. As far as how I started, so as a kid growing up, I guess it really all started with just like a lot of martial arts films that I grew up watching. I grew up watching a lot of Jet Li and Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And so those are like, as a kid growing up, those were like my superheroes. It's just funny because like kids my age, they all grew up with like, the Lion King or Beauty and the Beast. So, me, like I grew up with, I grew up with fighting movies. So yeah, it just there was a spark there, and it's weird because like not necessarily to want to fight, but I guess to want to be a part of it somehow. So
Okay.
even at a young age, I knew that there was something there with me in martial arts, and so yeah, I grew up watching a lot of martial arts films, and I was like 6 or 7. I might have been 8, but yeah, I think I was between like 6 and 8, and my dad he introduced me to the UFC.
Okay.
I knew about the UFC, but at the time I was really big into WWE. So for me, the UFC was kind of like boring because I'm used to seeing choke slams and DDTs and all these crazy moves, and so I'm watching these guys, fight, but I'm looking at it from like a WWE perspective. I'm watching it going like, okay, it looks like these guys really don't want to fight. It looks like these guys are like being very conservative, and I just didn't understand the sport at the time. And then after a couple watches, I started to get into it, and really what done it for me was we went to go watch a UFC pay-per-view at a Hooters. It was me, my dad, and my mom.
With your
And
mom at
yeah, it was me
Hooters?
and my parents. Yeah, at a Hooters. Yeah, yeah. Good times. Good
Okay,
times.
good times, yeah.
So we were watching a fight, and I can't remember who was fighting, but basically what happened was something really crazy happened during the fight. Like some kind of like judo takedown was done, and the whole crowd like just it was packed that day when we went. It was for sure definitely a big pay per view, and everybody was screaming and yelling after that happened, and it felt like surreal because like it just I was not expecting that. I was not ready to experience that, and after that that really it brought
Gave
me
you a
in.
hunger?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, like that. So I became a fan after that, for sure. It like really sparked something in me. And yeah, after that, it was like, yeah, I was hooked. And we watched pretty much every single UFC pay per view after that. There was a moment where I stopped watching UFC pay per views, but for like a good while, I would just watch as much UFC as I could. And I I remember, I think it was 2007, 2008, where we were living at the time. There was a Taekwondo gym next to us. And I remember just because I remember hearing about Taekwondo a lot. And so I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it. But, long story short, it didn't happen. It didn't work out. I never even got to try a class. It's just something that never really happened. Then a couple years later, find out that my cousins were doing Taekwondo at the time. So I wanted to try a class. I was really nervous about it because again, like I have like no prior. I never really grew up doing anything like it. I didn't play soccer growing up, football,
Anything
any kind of
physical.
sports,
You didn't grow
nothing
up doing
physical.
like anything physical.
No, no, no. My life was PlayStation, cartoons, Hot Cheetos. Just pretty much just being a lazy kid.
What
Not going
game?
out much.
What was the game while you was eating hot Cheetos though?
What was the game? Oh man, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was my thing, and then as I got a little bit older, it was all about I really got into Resident Evil because I remember watching my brother play the original Resident Evil 4 on the
Okay.
GameCube. And I was like, oh man, this game looks pretty intense, looks pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally came out for the PlayStation. I got it and I was hooked on it. So yeah, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, all the WWE games. Really, I mean, anything that involved like action, fighting, that kind of thing. I
Okay.
I grew up playing a lot of the Call of Duty games as well. So yeah, I mean that was my life. Just
Hmm.
like eating
So you
hot
didn't touch
Cheetos.
grass, essentially.
Pretty
You didn't
much, pretty
touch
much.
grass.
If I did go outside, I would like maybe ride a bike here and there. Maybe I would try to climb a tree, but nothing like I was not an athletic kid for sure. I was not an athletic kid. If I because I remember like me and my cousins, we would get together and like we would want to do something, right? Like jump on a trampoline or maybe play soccer. And after like 30 seconds, I was done. I was just out of breath. I couldn't, I couldn't breathe,
Mm.
that kind of thing. So yeah. So back to my trying that taekwondo class with my cousins. I did a couple sessions. It was fun. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but I guess at the time I just realized like this was going to be very, very hard. This was going to be very, very difficult. And I never stood with it. I never stood with it. I tried a couple sessions and it just never, I guess even at a young age, my mind was telling me like, hey, maybe this is something that we shouldn't really try out. It just seemed like it wasn't meant at the time. Again, I'm like 11 probably at this point in my life, and I'm like a fat kid. Like like not obese, but I'm definitely not skinny. So like I'm in between.
It's when you had hair back then.
Yes. When thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're good. But yeah, after that, yeah, I never really cared about. So after trying out Taekwondo, I guess the interest was like no longer there to like want to try and do it. Not fighting the training. I wasn't really
Mm.
interested in doing it. But then when I was about 13 at the time, me and my parents were at a so here in Houston we have a Sam's Boat, and so bar and restaurant.
Good tacos.
Very good tacos, yes. We're there and we're watching the fights, and my dad gets into a conversation with this one dude, and I don't recognize him. I don't know who he is. And then my dad, after like 10 minutes of conversation, my dad walks up to me. He's like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "No, I don't know who it is." That's Sam Hoger. He used to fight in the UFC. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, and he has a gym here, like 5 minutes away from the Sam's Boat. He's like, yeah, he has a gym and everything. And he was telling me to go ahead and like come on by, stop by, try a class. So I get excited now. Now I'm excited, right? So we were it was me, my dad, and my brother at the time. We were gonna go and try a class. And, leading up to it. So this is like a couple days before, like maybe 2 days before, I start to get really nervous and I start to even get afraid because I remember YouTubing his gym because he had a YouTube channel at the time, and he would post videos of like the training sessions that they would have, and it just looked brutal. It looked very
Mm.
hardcore, and there was a part of me that felt like, okay, I could possibly get hurt doing this because I'm thinking about like what I went through in Taekwondo, and I'm like, okay, this would probably be 10 times worse.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my dad about it, and we were like, yeah, maybe not. So I never went, and so it was weird. I had a lot of like up and down moments when it came to like actually wanting to try to like do a martial arts class, or really to do anything that involved like activity. Be 13 at the time, and then a couple years later. So now I'm like 15 or 16 years old now at this point, and we're on Westheimer. So we're living in the Galleria at the time, Galleria area, and every day we would just drive up and down Westheimer because that's like that was our route, like just taking
Mm.
Westheimer to wherever.
Yeah.
And there was this one gym that just really caught my eye, and it was Gracie Baja West Chase. And it was like big letters, red and white, and I just really noticed the name, and I noticed the name of Gracie Baja. So Gracie, right? So that is I don't know if you ever heard of like Hoist Gracie, like when the first UFC happened, but when the first UFC happened, there was this guy. His name is Hoist Gracie. He won the whole thing. And what was crazy is that this was during the time when there was really no rules in the UFC, so it was like pretty much anything goes. This is a guy who's like under 200 pounds. He's like maybe 190 when this event is taking place, and he's just beating everybody just by using jiu-jitsu. So I knew the Gracie name. So that like
There's relation there.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So when I seen the Gracie name, I was like, oh, that's a Gracie Baja. They teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. That's like really, really cool. And so there was a couple times where so it was in a parking lot with like a couple restaurants next to it, and then like a tire shop next to it. And so I remember me and my dad, we would park inside the parking lot, and we would just kind of look through the window, kind of like just peeking, just seeing what it was. And like so it was, even though it was one gym, there was like two different sections of it, right? So you had the kickboxing section, and then once you went a couple doors down, you had the jujitsu section. So the kickboxing section, right? It was like a lot of their stand up stuff that they would do, and then the jujitsu section would be like a lot of the ground stuff that they would do, just rolling around on the ground with the uniform. And I just remember telling my dad like, "Hey, I think one day I'm going to try a class." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, that's good, son. You know, just giving me that, typical dad response. And I remember I would just constantly remind him that I was gonna try it, I was gonna try it, I was gonna try it no matter what. And this went on for like maybe a year. Every time we would pass by, I would always look at him like, hey, one day I don't know when, I don't know when I'm ever gonna find the courage to like actually do it, but I am gonna try a class one day.
You knew
Like, all
that
right,
you would, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember we passed by the gym one day, and again, it was same thing, just that conversation of like me trying a class. And so at this point in my life, I am, I guess I'm like stressing out and I'm confused at this point in my life. I'm like 17 at the time, and so
Mm.
I don't know what my life is going to be at this point because
Well,
I'm 17 years.
can we take a pause, please, and just
Yeah.
like explain to people because there's there's two sides, right? So you became this MMA fighter, but you're also a gypsy boy,
Mhm.
and you was brought up in a Ghomano life.
Yes, I
So
was. Yeah.
can you explain a little bit about the like hardships? Because I remember when there was a time of like people kind of attacking you for doing the things that
Yeah.
you know.
That I was, yeah, yeah. So before I got into fighting, right? Before I had the interest, so I am a gypsy, and so for a male gypsy, it's definitely not common to see a gypsy boy do something that's related to martial arts. And so, as a kid growing up, I was brought up in the Romania, and to speak the gypsy dialect, and everybody's telling me, okay, when you're 14, 15, 16, you gotta get married, gotta have kids, and like, all right, you gotta get into scrap, you gotta buy and sell, do whatever, marry someone who tells fortune, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. But that never interested me, to be completely honest with you. I'm not like, I don't know, even at a young age, I was like, is this not something I was interested in? Like,
You wanted more.
yeah, I want to do something different with my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make a difference because it was not in my heart to want to do these things. I'm 14, 15 years old, and I see all my cousins getting married at 14, 15 years old. They're, buying and selling cars, they're doing scrap, forklifts, driveways, pressure washing, all that. And I'm looking at all of it like, yeah, that doesn't really interest me.
It's a lot of pressure for
Oh yeah,
a dude
absolutely.
at 14, 13.
So
Like, it's a lot of
yeah.
pressure.
And I mean, that's the culture, right? The culture tries to teach you to basically be a grown up when you're still a baby,
When
when
you're
you're
still a
still a
kid,
kid.
yeah? You're
Yeah.
still a kid.
So, I'm like 17 years old, and I'm like, okay, I'm 17, I'm not married, I'm just now learning how to drive. I'm not really, I'm not making money, I'm not doing anything besides helping my dad here and there with whatever, but I'm not like there's nothing established, right? So I just remember I had a moment where I broke down, and my dad's like, hey, what's your problem? What's going on? And I told him, I was like, look, I know you guys are against the idea of me. So now I'm getting to a point where not only do I want to train, but now I want to be a fighter. Like it's in my mind now, like, okay, I'm going to be a fighter. So I start to break down, like literally I start crying. There's tears going down my eyes. And my dad is like kind of confused because it's like, okay, is this kid really crying about this? And yeah, I was, and I told him, "Look, I know I'm fat. I know I'm out of shape. I know that there is a very slim chance of me like actually making it, but I'm gonna do everything in my power to like at least try." That's what I remember telling my dad. I'm gonna try and do everything in my power. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make it some way somehow. He's like, "All right, fine. I'll take you to the gym, and I'll." He said basically what he said was, I'm gonna allow you to do this one time, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, all right, that's fair, it's fine. So yeah, now I'm like 17, going on 18 at this point, and I try a jujitsu class, and it was a 1 hour class, and the warm up was hard. The warm up was the hardest part for me, but once we got past the warm up, everything was, I don't want to say easy because jujitsu is not an easy martial art. It's very complex because you got like hundreds and thousands of moves to like do, and like you also have like variations of those moves, right? And
Okay.
it's continuing to evolve. But so not that it was easy, but it was very doable for me, right?
Mm.
So I do my class, and my parents are there watching me, and then
Well,
class
that's cool.
finishes. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool
they're
that they were
watching me.
there.
Yeah, yeah. And I walk up to my dad, and my dad's like, all right, what's it gonna be? like sign me up, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really cool that your parents were there when
yeah.
you started.
So very so in 2 weeks it'll be officially 11 years since I joined. Uh, yeah, Gracie Baja West Chase, and they've been
That is crazy.
supportive.
Congratulations, because that's an amazing
Yeah, I mean
accomplishment.
that is a. I mean that it's crazy. Like it was just like I mean I remember it like yesterday when I went through those doors, and this is back when the gym was at the old location. They've been supportive ever since. They've been my number one supporters. They've been my number one fans. Really, mom and dad, if you're watching this, thank you. I love you. Thank you for supporting me.
Yeah, it's awesome that you had two like Gypsy Ghomano parents that supported you in that and that didn't, tell you. They might have told you no for a little bit, but then eventually they told you yes, and
Yeah.
you became more.
Mhm.
Right? So you're not just a gypsy boy, you're not just a fighter, you're more than that. So again, those people that were putting you down, what would you say to them? Because I have here, I wrote down some notes and stuff, and I have proved them wrong, right? Because to me, you did. You
Yeah.
proved them wrong, and you also, you're a man of God too. And that's really neat that you're doing that too. You're pursuing that. You're posting some stuff on your Instagram with scriptures, and that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No, when I you know, the first couple years was kind of it was rough in the sense that like there was a lot of people that kind of like were looking at my parents like this is what your son does. Like are you got like they wouldn't
Putting their
say
nose
it
down, right?
pretty
They were
much,
putting their
pretty
nose
much.
down to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, a lot of them, like anytime we would go and visit somebody, they would always like, so that's what your son does? Like, all right, that's and like they would be disrespectful without it being like obvious. You know
Because
what
they
I mean?
don't
Like
know
they
any
would
better. They don't know
yeah,
any better.
yeah,
So
they
it's
would
like
yeah,
they hear you're a fighter, and it's like
yeah,
they can't
yeah, like which
understand it.
yeah, like what and you know what? That's what it all comes down to. Because the culture is how it is, they can't understand anything outside of it. So when they hear about and like this is not just with me, but like I know people in the Romania that like okay, for example, Michael Costello, the fashion designer,
Yeah.
he gets a lot of hate,
Yep.
and it's like
Yep.
he gets a lot of hate. And then I remember there's a show that I know. He used to be a backup player. This was a long time ago. Former soccer player. He used to be a former soccer player and a backup player for the Houston Dynamos.
I think I remember. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But I remember every once in a while, like there would be like a group of people, like because like at the time he was a very popular kid,
Mm-hmm.
and
He got a lot of hate. I remember he got
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
bad names called, a lot of
yeah.
hate, a lot of
And I
ugliness for absolutely
yeah,
no reason because
for
he
playing
was
for playing
just
for
for playing
for playing
soccer.
soccer, for playing
Yeah,
soccer. That's like so
it's
dumb to me.
silly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there was another. I forget his name, but there was a show. Now this was about 10 years ago, but he went on the what was it? The Voice or the X Factor? He went on
Okay.
there. It was the
American Idol.
not a. I think it was the. I think it might have been like the Latin or Mexican one.
Okay.
He went on there, and unfortunately, he didn't. Not that he wasn't good, but he just didn't. Because like I don't know, American Idol, X Factor. I don't know. To me, those are not like people should not go to those places. Like if you want to be a singer, like if you want to be a singer, like
No,
just freaking go to
do
some
it on your
bars, do
own.
some open mic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he went, he did his thing. They're like basically telling him like, hey, you're good, but not what we're looking for. But during that time when he was doing that, there were some people, man, that were just like, and this is like a 13, 14-year-old kid at the time, talking crap, saying how you shouldn't be doing this. It's not meant. He's not good enough. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, he's about to sing on the freaking X Factor or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
that's awesome. That's
He's
an
on.
amazing accomplishment.
Yeah,
That's
and
like an
yeah,
accomplishment. That should be cool. Oh, there's a gypsy kid on this show. It should be celebrated
yeah,
as
yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And as far as what I would say to these people that have, criticized me, first things first, God bless you. I understand that you don't understand. At one point in my life, I used to have that mindset, right?
Yeah.
But then I grew up and I started to look at things from not from a Ghomano mindset, but more from like a Gajikano mindset. And then I started to understand certain things and why Gajet did what they did. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense because the culture will, like, I think it is so crazy that nobody puts their kids in school in the Romania. Just now it started
100%.
happening. Just now it started happening. So
So
like,
in
I'm
some
gonna,
families,
yeah, yeah,
yes, it's become a little bit more normalized.
yeah, like that. I think that is so crazy to bring children into this world and for them to like not have some kind of education.
Give them the tools to
That's
actually
insane to
function
me.
in
Yeah,
society. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So, and I mean, I don't hate these people. I don't dislike these people that have criticized me. And here's the thing: when you're doing something that's positive, you're gonna get some kind of criticism.
Oh,
And
100%.
and
Yeah.
like you know that from experience because look at what you're doing. You know, I've seen the stuff you've posted, and there's always one person to say, Shady Lee, why are you writing a book? Taina, who's gonna read your book? Taina, by oh, you're speaking about, you
For,
know,
yeah,
it's yeah.
it's
Which
the way
I
of the world. It's the
yeah,
way of the
yeah.
world. And actually, I wanted to do this episode with you too because I have siblings. They don't talk to me, but you're a gypsy kid and you did something with your life actually, which to me is amazing and it gives me hope for my little brothers, right? I have two brothers and a sister, and now my sister has kids. Maybe one day when they grow up, right? They'll see you, they'll see these other kids that are well, to me, like, I feel like we're like this group of gypsy kids, right, that all grew up together, but we're not kids anymore. We're adults.
Yeah, yeah,
We're all adults, and it's crazy to think that we're adults, right? We kind of need an adult, but we're also adults. It's weird.
yeah,
But one of the main reasons I wanted to do this the most is so they could to see that you could be both. You could be, or you could be one or the other. But you can be both. You can still be a sha'uvo, a vom, and do different things with your life. You don't have to have this one set of rules, that's been given to you from birth, and then just what really is life.
yeah, 100%. I agree. I agree. And I just want to say this. I don't hate the Romania. I hate this idea that if you're not living this way, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Basically, if you don't go by the gypsy standard, you're like crazy, you're insane. It's like
you're
no,
wrong. Yeah, you're just
yeah, it's
wrong.
like
Straight to
yeah,
jail, like
yeah,
just bad.
yeah. Yeah, so like it goes back to what I was saying about like gypsy parents not putting their kids in school. Like I know home that have put their kids in school, and when other home have heard about it, it freaked them out thinking
Yeah.
that they're crazy for putting their kids in school. And it's like I don't like. All right, I mean, if that's how you feel, but so just looking at it as a culture, I think it's I think it's like any other culture. Okay, right? So there's certain things that we do. We have traditions, right? We have our dialect. But at the end of the day, it's not like to me. I don't see it as like okay, well, it's this way or no way, egotistical or cocky way. But like I feel like I'm living proof that you could step outside the culture. Like if there's something you want to do outside of the Romania, if you want to sing, if you want to dance, if you want to paint, if you want to
You could
act,
do
if you want
something.
to 100%, if you want to be an athlete, if you want to do some, like if you want to be a lawyer. Dude, I've seen some people, what's his name? You know him. He's in real estate. What's his name?
Larry?
Yes, he's in real estate. That's like so freaking, that's like awesome. The fact
Yep.
that he's in real
We're
estate.
doing an event tomorrow actually together. I got asked to go to do an event, a back to school event that I'm selling some like accessory stuff on it at it, and he's gonna be there too.
Yeah, I think that's like so cool. And I I've seen not I don't know these people personally, but like I guess I've come across like their Instagram because like Instagram gives you like suggestions of like who to follow, and like I've come across a couple of Instagrams where it's like oh yeah, really like whoever their name was like C- Costello buys houses or whatever that kind of thing. Like it might have been that kind of name,
Yeah.
and like they're home and like they're like legit like in
They're
real
doing
estate.
different things. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I think, with the way how the world is today, I don't the gypsy lifestyle will only last for so long.
I agree. I
Um,
highly agree with that because there's progression that's needed. I think that I used to hate Romania, but now I've realized it's just a lot of ignorance.
That's all.
and
Yeah.
it's all ignorance. That's all it is. And but they do need to progress in certain areas like schooling, like giving kids, a shot at life, because most of us too, that I feel like we grew up very awkward because we didn't go to school, so we don't have those basic human
Yeah.
interaction skills even. So you're not giving kids even, a 1% chance, which is a big conversation that needs to be had.
Oh yeah, 100%. When I first started training, I was a super shy kid, super awkward, and I had a lot I had a lot of moments where my one of my coaches, he's my wrestling coach, he's my jiu-jitsu professor, and he's also I consider him to be a brother. His name is Servando. He 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 pushed me a lot, like not like he wasn't like he didn't dislike me or anything. It wasn't that, but he was just because he's seen a lot of potential in me. So he would push me every single day, and like his thing is sarcasm. He is very sarcastic. And I just remember thinking, okay, this guy has a problem. This guy like legit has an issue with me. I thought he hated me. And there was a lot of moments where I was just like, how do I respond to that? And like he would kind of feel bad afterwards because it's like and like we've had conversations about this, like he just didn't because the gym that I'm at, they know what gypsies are and they've had experience with gypsies, and so they would sometimes forget that I was a gypsy because again, it was not normal for them to see a gypsy kid to come into the gym and train with us. And so yeah, like I had like no street smarts or anything like that, and so yeah, like I was super awkward, super shy, and so there was like a lot of awkward moments, a lot of awkward silence when it came to like those sarcastic moments, when it came to those weird conversations. Like I did not know how to really like not that I didn't know how to engage in conversation, but at the same time, I was definitely the quiet kid. I would listen more than I would talk. I didn't do well in big groups, so like if there was like 10 people talking about something, I would just kind of like slowly
Check
back
out.
away. Yeah, because it's not something that I'm used to.
Yeah.
And these are, I'm a gypsy kid, so what I'm used to is bracer, dilimos,
Mhm.
disaster. That's what I'm used to. These people are like their vocabulary is like
It's a
out
different
of this.
world. It's a
Yeah, it's a
completely
different
different
world. And I'm
world.
just like,
Yes.
then like not that like they're speaking English, so not that I don't understand English, but I'm listening to how they're talk. I'm listening to how they're talking, and I'm like,
And the topics too are like
yeah, and I'm like,
vastly different.
wait, politics? Hold on,
Yeah,
huh?
what is this?
I'm like,
What?
hold on, let's, yeah, they're in like they're asking me like this sounds crazy, but like they're asking me questions like, what's your race? What's your nationality? And what's your bloodline? And I'm just
How do I explain this?
like, how do I? Yeah, like I know what I
Yeah.
am. How do I explain it to where it makes sense? You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. It's funny, like seeing how I started and then seeing where I'm at now. Like I wouldn't, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be in this position today, full-time coach, you know, former MMA fighter, like I would call you, like I would, no, like it's something that I wanted to do. But like if you would have told me this like 10 years ago, like this is what's going to happen, this is going to be your life, I would call you crazy, you
Yeah,
know?
you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we talked about where you started. We talked about kind of the middle. So now the man you are today, right? So you was just talking about that. So the man you are today, what are you doing? What are you looking forward to?
So I was 11 years chasing this dream, right? To fight and to, possibly go to the UFC. But so my last fight was this past February, and after that last fight, which I lost unfortunately, but after that last fight, I just really had to think about, like if I wanted to continue to fight or not, and the desire was just not there. And I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna call it now. And ever since I retired, my something that I am focusing on now is so number one thing is my relationship with God. Trying my best to be the best version of myself possible, right? As a Christian, it is very to me, being a Christian is probably the hardest thing, just because as you get closer to God,
Things get
there's
harder.
100% things get harder. There's more challenges, there's more trials and tribulations, and all that. It definitely doesn't get easier. So yeah, just my relationship with God, that's number one. And then now that I'm a full time coach, I want to help people. For me, it's not so much about being the best coach. For me, it's about like I want to like help people that struggle with their weight, people that want to learn how to defend themselves, people that want to possibly fight one day, people that maybe they are depressed and they're using the gym as an escape, right? Like I want to help these people. Like I
Yeah,
know someone.
therapy. I was
Yeah,
telling you, I would to use fighting one
yeah,
day as
yeah.
therapy because I kind of feel like just therapy in itself is it would be boring to me, but like that would be such a release, right?
I know so many people that have struggled with their mental health, struggled with depression, and they all tell me the same thing. They say that when they're in the gym, it goes away. When they're training, when they're doing boxing, kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever it is that they may be doing, even if it's like just lifting weights, they all tell me the same thing. It makes them feel better. It makes them feel better. It makes them feel better about themselves. And there's even though it's 1 hour, right? It's 1 to 2 hours of training. It's 1 to 2 hours of joy,
Yeah,
entertainment, because it is entertaining to train. It really is. It gets very, very fun.
it looks really fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. When you first start, it's kind of scary because it's like, okay, what do I? Because again, you don't know anything, right? So like, you don't know how to throw a proper punch. You don't know what it means to grapple. People are on top of you trying to choke you, so like you'll start to freak out. But after a couple months of doing it, you really start to enjoy it, and then you start to like, then you start to understand the sport, right? Then you learn how to punch. Then you learn how to kick. You learn how to grapple, and it's not as scary anymore. And it is very therapeutic. I was severely depressed back in 2021. Life happened, and so that was just a very hard year for me. Basically, like every month or every other month, life was just hitting me with something. It was ridiculous what I was going through. So I stopped training. I stopped with my nutrition. I gained a bunch of weight. I was obese. I really was. I was obese and I was no longer healthy, was no longer training. But then, after like 22 or 23, so my dad, he did some time in prison. When he got out, he really got me to, he really got me closer to God because when he was doing his time, that's all he would do was just read the Bible. He was like in a group of people where so like Sunday was like church, but like every like Wednesday or Thursday was like a Bible study, that kind of thing. And
It's
so
interesting. It's interesting that in prison he got closer to God, and then he got out, and then he
uh,
essentially got you closer to God. That's really neat.
we did 100%. And so yeah, after that happened, something like there was a fire lit, right? So now I start getting closer to God, right? Or I'm at least trying to at this point. I start going back to the gym. I start training again. I start getting back to my nutrition. And then the conversation comes up about me possibly fighting again. And, I had a long talk about it with my dad, and my dad was like, look, you started this because you wanted this. You don't have to fight if you don't want to, but if you wanted to fight, you certainly could. You're capable, and I'm behind you. Your mom's behind you. It's totally up to you. That's what he told me. And at my time, at the time, my coach at the time, I had that conversation with him, and because he asked me, he's like, "Hey man, there's a show coming up in about like 6 weeks. Do you want to fight?" Because this is when I was getting back into training. I think I'm like 2 or 3 months in back into training at this point. He's like, "Hey man, you wanna fight? There's a show February. When was that fight? I think it was like February 6th or 7th." And I was like, "Sure, let's do it." And so started to fight again. Started to lose all the weight. Yeah, that's kind of that. So that I was in a very dark place. I had written suicide notes, like 3 different ones, because I was gonna do it.
I'm sorry, brother. I've been there too. I'm sorry that you went through that, and I'm glad that you're in a better place. And
And listen, all glory to God. If it wasn't for him, I'm just being honest, I probably wouldn't be here because when my dad got out, because here's the thing, so I grew up in the church. My dad grew up going to church. My mom grew up to church. We're all Christian, But when he got out, it was like it's weird. When I would look at my dad, I would some way somehow see God. Don't ask me like it was like because he would talk about the Bible and he would talk about certain things and certain passages, and I'm just like looking at my dad like, who
He
are
was a
you? What did you
changed
do?
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a changed man.
yeah, like I would look at him like, who are you? What did you do to my father? Because this is not like for me. This is not normal, right?
Yeah.
And so that depression started to disappear after that. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of people that they have struggled with depression with their mental health, and so now I'm just at a point where I want to help people. I want to help people that are struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with. If it's a weight struggle, if it's mental, if it's depression,
Yeah, you just want to help
because
people. That's
yeah,
awesome.
people need help, and depression is at an all-time high.
Yes.
I feel like people don't talk about it enough. I feel like it kind of gets
No.
like it just kind of goes over people's head. You know what I mean? Like
People don't take it seriously.
yeah, they
And
don't.
that's the thing. People don't take it seriously until, well, you get that call about your friend and then you're like, oh wait, he was serious or she was serious.
Yeah,
So yeah, I agree with that. It needs to be taken way more seriously.
yeah,
And when our friends or our family talk about it, we need to give them time, give them space to talk about it because you don't know tomorrow they might not be there anymore.
100%, 100%. I mean, I almost had that moment, and looking back,
Just stopped recording and then I started a new one.
okay, I thought, man,
No,
that would have been
no,
so bad. That
no,
would have been
no, no, no.
so that actually so funny. So when because I did the podcast with Bam Bam and Dewey. The first episode we did, it never got aired. So the episode that did get aired, that was the second time we did it. We did the podcast. The first
Okay.
time, yeah. So the first one we did never got uploaded because the file some way somehow disappeared or
Disappeared.
it disappeared or got deleted. Something happened, and they were like, "Bro, this is Bam Bam." Like, he's texting me, "Bro, I'm really sorry, but we're gonna have to do it again. That thing is gone. It's like non-existent." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Yeah, like I don't know what happened to it." He was freaking out. I'm like, "Dude, it's all good. We'll do it again. I had fun doing it the first time.
Yeah.
I'll do it again for sure." But yeah, that's
Thank you for giving me the bad audio tea, the behind the scenes.
yeah.
It dropped in such a weird place though. I would like you to finish your story though.
Yes, we were so back to talking about depression. Yeah, I mean, it's a very dark place, and unless if you're someone that has gone through it, you don't understand it. And I hope no one has to go through that because it is just it's not like being sad. It's not like being in a bad mood. It's different. It's weird. For me, in my case, I just stopped caring. I stopped caring.
You felt
I stopped.
empty.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, I can relate to it.
and so, yeah, I felt empty. I felt like there was no purpose. I felt like there was no reason for anything anymore. Because during that time, I so people like my mom, my brother, my cousins, they all knew how severely depressed I was. But like everybody else was kind of like because I wouldn't show it. I would try my best not to show it at least. And like if you look back on my Instagram during that time, you wouldn't. So I was kind of open about it, but not. I think I made like one or two posts about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't really talk about it.
But like, if you just look back at my Instagram, it doesn't really seem like there's Matt. He's fatter than usual, but he seems fine. Okay, cool. That's like that. That's what depression does to you. It will because again, when you're sad, when you're angry, it will show. It will show. It is very obvious.
Yeah,
When you are
of course.
depressed, it's different. It's different. It's not like being sad. It's not like being upset. It's not. Now, I had a lot of moments where I was angry, but again, it was like I just held everything on the inside. You know what I mean? And it gets dark, it gets scary. It's
I
honestly
think
some
when you're severely depressed too, you learn how to mask well
yeah,
too,
100%.
to not be a burden to anybody else, even though it shouldn't be seen as that. But I know that's something that I felt a lot. I mask a lot because I don't want to put something so heavy on someone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like that was one of the things for me. Like every time I would show up to the gym to teach, I would just have a smile on my face, and I would try to be the. I would try. I would try not to be depressed, I guess.
Hmm.
And yeah, what you said, 100%. I got to a point where I started doing that, and I guess I kind of had to because I wasn't the only one that was going through something. At that it's crazy. It was a very dark time for like a lot of people, like in my family. Everybody was going through something, but I had to try at least to not show it as much, so I could try to be a little strong.
You had to be
Because
strong for everybody else.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I sucked at that, to be completely honest with you. Like I'm gonna say most days I was just like over it. Like I did not care. Like I didn't like you couldn't I couldn't be bothered with it. It's like whatever. Like I got to a point to where I was just hopeless. Didn't care anymore. I guess at the time I was just kind of waiting for it to just like eventually like just end me some way somehow. You know that's where I got at one point. Yeah, and I remember my self harm was food. I wasn't eating because I was hungry. I was that was my way of self harm because I didn't want to do anything else, like cutting myself or something like that because like I knew I would have to hide the scars and do all that stuff. So it was very easy for me to like just go to eating and just like all right, I guess I'll just shove all this food down my throat and
Comfort. It was comfort.
yeah, 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 yeah. But at the same time, I was doing it just kind of hoping, like, okay, eventually it's just gonna do something to me. Just eating so much, consuming all these calories, that eventually it would like just take me. You know, yeah. I got up to like I was 315 pounds.
Jesus.
That was at my heaviest. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. You're trying, you are still here and you are doing awesome things in the world for yourself, for Womania. I feel like you are an advocate for a lot of gypsies, for gypsy kids, your role model, right? For all of these little boys, for these little girls to grow up and see like I can do it too. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's awesome that you are actually more than a fighter. You're not just a fighter. So I have a question to ask you, right? Okay, so Matthew, if your entire life had been a fight, what was the thing you were actually fighting for?
Wow. Okay. What was the thing that I was actually? I was fighting to make a difference.
Good answer. Okay.
Yeah, that's I wanted to not only prove to myself, but I wanted to prove to other people that no matter what your circumstance is, no matter where you are in your life, if you work hard enough and if you put your mind to it, you will be successful at whatever it is you put your mind to.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about that. As a kid growing up, I one of my favorite actors is Sylvester Stallone, and he has a crazy story about how he wrote Rocky and the things he went through writing Rocky. And to me, that's like one of the greatest underdog stories. And as a kid growing up, watching Rocky it was very inspiring for me. And so when I seen that, like I would even at a very young age, like I would tell myself, okay, I'm gonna do something. Like I'm gonna do something different with my life. I could feel it. I know it. And then when the time was right, I did. I did. I fought for 10 years. I did a lot of fights. I won fights. I lost fights. I had hard fights. I've met a lot of great people, and I continue to meet great people in this journey, this mixed martial arts journey that I'm in. I'm at the gym every day, Monday through Sunday, and I am meeting new faces.
That is crazy. Monday through Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
awesome though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like tomorrow morning, I got two classes that I'm teaching.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been my whole life for like the last 11 years. And now even more so because I'm retired. Because now that I'm retired, now all my time is going into the
Going
gym.
into that is awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I was fighting to make a difference. And I hope I did. I hope I did. I think I did.
I absolutely believe that you did. And I absolutely believe that you continue to make a difference and you will be lots of little gypsy kids and little, normal kids role models because you're just a cool person all around. Also, you play guitar. Can you
I do, yes.
tell us a little bit about where we could find you? Tell everybody where we could find you and your gym. Tell everybody where your gym is and
My gym. So the gym that I teach at is Gracie Baja West Chase. It is on the southwest side of Houston. If you're from Houston, Texas, it is on Westheimer and Fondren. I am there every day, Monday through Saturday. If you guys are interested, if you want to try a class, come on by. I will be there. I'll be happy to help you out in trying your first class. I will set you up. I will help you. I will give you the tools necessary to do whatever it is that you want to do when it comes to your mixed martial arts journey. And for guitar, yeah, I mean, so I started playing guitar. It's weird. I grew up around musicians, and I always wanted to play. I always wanted to play guitar, but it's not something I really picked up. I tried I tried it. My uncle was like, "Hey, play these chords for like a couple days, and then we'll go from there." And then after like 30 minutes, I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done. This hurts. So I don't want to practice." So that guitar, I put it in the closet. I've never seen it again. But 4 or 5 years ago, however long it's been now, I was because I wasn't fighting no more. I wasn't training no more. But I always had the thought of like possibly getting into music because I'm a big metalhead. Love metal music. And so during that time, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I should pick up a hobby. If I'm not going to train, if I'm not going to fight anymore. And so yeah, I went on Facebook Marketplace. I got a guitar for $120. Got me an amp, and I started learning through YouTube. And yeah, I've been playing guitar now for I think coming up on 5 years now. Yeah, yeah. You'll find all my covers. I posted a cover last night, actually.
okay. Well, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on my Instagram at Matt Costello MMA. That's all one word. Yeah, Matt Costello MMA. You'll find all my stuff there. So you want to know what's crazy? I've had that Instagram since 2013.
Really? The same one?
Yes, it's the same one. You
Oh, that's
remember?
crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
I've had that Instagram since 2013. So if you want to be weird, you could scroll all the way down and you could just look at some of my first posts. I don't recommend it because it's like
The cringe, that's the old
it's
cringy posts.
100%.
That's the
It's
old
so
cringy stuff, yeah.
yeah, this is how old my Instagram is. You could find pictures of me where I had hair. That's how old
Oh my
my
god.
Instagram. Yes.
Do you find pictures of church?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah?
you'll find pictures of me at church, at halls, weddings, with the boys. Yeah,
With the
it's
boys.
great. With the boys. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Matthew Costello, for coming on the show. This was awesome.
It was a lot of
And
fun. Thank you for having me.